There have been arguments raging recently between creationists and evolutionists, between those who believe a God is responsible for life, the universe, everything, and those who believe that everything in the universe simply follows the laws of science, and life simply follows the law of natural selection. Is there any middle ground? Can this argument between science and religion ever be resolved? If it is ever to be resolved, there will have to be proof, scientifically acceptable and provable, proof that there is some kind of intelligent intervention in the workings of either the cosmos, life, or our surroundings here on Earth. That is precisely what I am about to show. Proof of intelligent design. Proof of something worthy of scientific study and acceptance. Let's have a look at a map of the English countryside to the west of the university town of Cambridge. Let's make some of the roads clearer. First, some of the old Roman roads. Now some more modern roads. What do we see? A bird. It looks very much like a goose or swan. There's more. For a start, this goose has a rider. If we bring up some more modern roads and another Roman road, we have the front of the figure, and now a section of Victorian main line railway. We have the back as well. Perfectly formed, the curves in all the right places, all in perfect proportion, and unbelievably, on the rider's knee, the town of St. Neots. This is not a hoax. It can all be checked out on any map. Don't worry, it's not as bad as it looks, as we'll see later. But at the moment there is something missing. So let's have a look at the town plan of Peterborough and see how it fits into the map. All this mapping is scanned straight off the 1984 map I was using when I found this figure back in 1986. And even though the road system has changed around it, the Goose and Rider are just the same today. So who made it? Well, we did. We just didn't know we were doing it. Nature seems to have had a hand in it too. The river Nene forms a set of reins as it flows from the beak of the bird round its ear and up to the open jaw of the rider. So, is it trying to tell us something? I think by what has been shown here alone, it is amply proven that there is a figure in the British landscape, and that it is not just coincidence. But that is not enough to prove intelligent design. It must have a purpose that links into things outside of itself, and this it does, in a most dramatic way. Here are just two examples that prove intelligent design, in more ways than one. First, Alconbury. Located precisely in the area of the rider's womb is the ex-United States Air Force Base of Alconbury, where in the 1950s B-45 bombers were based, bombers that carried what were called at the time special weapons, the Mark V atomic bomb. Maybe we are fortunate that by the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, atomic weapons were no longer held at Alconbury. They were moved when the B-45s were upgraded to the B-66, codenamed the Destroyer. Just how close did this figure come to giving birth back then? And how close to Armageddon are we now? The second example of intelligent design is at Godmanchester, the wing pivot of the Goose and where the Rider sits. Just behind the Rider, and where, figuratively speaking, she would dump her rubbish, is a landfill site where in 2004 over 200,000 tons of rubbish was dumped from North London alone. This site is managed by a responsible company, but around the world thousands are not, polluting not only ourselves but the planet itself. So, is this figure in the landscape really making a threat, or is it in reality giving us a warning? Does All-Can-Bury refer to us burying ourselves in the aftermath of all-out nuclear war, or maybe it's All-Can-Bury, referring to us polluting ourselves and the planet to death under a pile of our own waste? If this is a warning, then from who or what? Who would benefit? Ourselves and the planet we live on, as we could render it lifeless. The need, self-preservation. The result, intelligent design. Linking in with theories such as cosmic consciousness and other ideas at the cutting edge of science. For this is nothing less than the birth of a new branch of science. But to understand this properly, you have to understand how this figure was found, the trail of clues that led to its discovery. One has to understand how that trail continues, and that it shows at every stage that man is not simply of nature, but that man is above all of spirit, a spiritual being experiencing an extraordinary adventure, an adventure laid out in the landscape for man to understand, to enable him to make the right choices on the journey ahead. A modern miracle, impossible, yet at every stage provable. This will be the subject of the second presentation in this series.